Alright guys, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be talking the future of WWE Games following the release of WWE 2K20 and how the immediate future for the series doesn't look too good. Before we get into that though, if you're new to the channel, here we cover all things wrestling game related, including hidden features, creations, mods, news, rumours, all that good stuff. Therefore, if you want to stay up to date with all the goings on in the virtual ring, then I would love it if you could hit that subscribe button and join us on what I hope is a big redemption arc for the WWE series. So with out the way, let's talk the current state of the game, as it's now been 7 weeks since the release of WWE 2K20, which as we all know was met with an incredibly negative reception due to the game being riddled with all kinds of bugs and glitches, some of which were fun to see, some of which actually improved the game, and others that were just downright awful and showed that the game should not have been released in its current state. As I mentioned, that was 7 weeks ago, yet the game is still pretty much broken in all modes, despite 2K promising that they would be patching the game to address concerns, as the 2 patches that have been released since that initial statement have only made minor changes, which hasn't really changed the game overall. At this point, you could argue that the series can't really get any worse, and that the only way to go is up. However, according to reports from people in the community and former SmackDown vs Raw Road to WrestleMania designer Justin Lieber, it appears that things are actually getting worse. That's because, following the release of 2K20 and the negative publicity that it received, Justin has confirmed that more than 10 of the developers working on the game at Visual Concepts have decided to quit the company, as not only are the team struggling to fix 2K20, but looking ahead to 2K21, it said that they chose to walk away from the project as they didn't want to continue to tarnish their name by having it associated with working on the WWE series. Not only is this a concern for 2K20 gamers, as less devs means less people to work on fixing the game, but it also means that there are less developers to work on 2K21 and help steady the ship after the irreparable damage caused by 2K20. Now, you might be thinking 2K could just go out and hire a bunch of new devs to work on the series in their place. However, that task may be a lot harder than it seems, as given the negativity surrounding the WWE 2K brand at present, then it may not be a project that many candidates are open to for the same fear of being associated with a bad product. That's not where the problems end though, as one of the main issues with 2K20 was the fact that the main file types used in the series were all custom architecture owned by Yukes. Therefore, when 2K decided to get rid of Yukes and develop the game themselves, then they had to get rid of all the Yukes formatted files and convert the likes of the superstar models, staging parts and attires all over to industry standard formats such as .mdl, and that conversion process seems to be where a lot of the issues have come in, as 2K have had to rewrite a lot of the code that tells the models and the materials how to act, which is why a lot of the things that worked perfectly fine in 2K19 are suddenly broken in 2K20. Another issue facing the team is that despite announcing the departure of Yukes back in July, both companies actually parted ways following the release of 2K19, as 2K20 was solely developed by Visual Concepts, with Justin confirming that the decision to get rid of Yukes actually took place following the release of 2K18, with Yukes aware that 2K19 would be their last game in the franchise before Visual Concepts would then take over. Now, at that point in time, it suggested that Yukes were tasked with working on 2K19 as normal, whilst Visual Concepts then began going through the code for 2K18 to see how things worked, and then start putting together their own game, which would become 2K20. Now, this rumour is one that is backed up by the fact that a lot of the files in 2K20 go all the way back to 2K17, as browsing the game's files reveals assets for removed stars such as Buddy Murphy, Emma and Rich Swann, with these files being ones that weren't present in 2K19 but have since been added back in. This also confirms why a lot of the bugs that were present in 2K18, such as irreversible moves which were later fixed in 2K19, are now actually back in 2K20, as a lot of the code appears to be taken from the older games. In fact, assets from 2K18 can even be seen when playing 2K20 itself, as you can see various 2K18 renders used on the props backstage. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that despite the announcement of Yukes leaving in August, not only were Visual Concepts working on the game this time last year, but based on the reports and the indications in the game files, then they were potentially working on 2K20 since the release of 2K18 in 2017, meaning the team have spent 2 years working on the game and still don't have it in fully working order. Therefore, the idea that the game can be fixed with patch updates in the coming weeks after spending 2 full years working on the game and still encountering problems seems highly unrealistic. Unlike WWE, who when faced with problems of their own tend to throw more money at the problem to fix it, Justin pointed out that from his experience working with THQ, whenever the game didn't do too well and received lower sales, then this would lead to the budget being slashed for the next game to make up for a loss in revenue. Therefore, with the abysmal sales of 2K20, it would appear that the budget for 2K21 will be a lot lower. So that's the current state of the game and the series as a whole. Personally, I would love to see 2K turn things around in the coming year and get things back on track. However, with all the problems in the game at present, a lower budget and developers walking out in the studio, then it's by no means an easy task, and it really does make you question the decision to drop Yukes at the time they did, as surely it would have been easier to have Yukes continue through the release of next-gen consoles whilst 2K began developing their own game from scratch that could finally bring the series up to date. However, instead we're left with 2K struggling to manage a game engine that is already severely outdated and now also riddled with bugs from them trying to make it compatible with their own architecture. Anyway guys, that is my take on the situation and the latest in regards to all the news and the rumours coming out of visual concepts at present. Like I say, I would love to see things turn around, but I feel this is going to be one long road to travel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments though and what you make of this situation. Have yourself an awesome day, and I'll catch you later.